Good evening, everyone. Hi, guys. A very, very warm welcome to this online seminar. Thank you so much for joining us. A huge list of attendees today. One of the most anticipated events in the history of GREedge. Our very own alumni, Somya will be shortly joining us with over admits from Harvard, Princeton, and GRE score of 333. She is here with us today on talking to share her tips on how to prepare for GRE, how to go about the admissions, and share her experience in particular. So without any further ado, let me just invite our guest to the stage. Somya, are you able to hear us?
Hi, can you
Somya,
hear me?
are you able to hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. So, can you introduce yourself to the audience before I, give any introduction? Can you introduce yourself to the audience, Somya?
Yes. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm so happy to be here and be speaking to you all again. I'm basically from Calcutta. I went to do my undergrad in economics honors in Bangalore from Christ University. While I was in my second year, I had realized that I want to pursue a master's in public policy and public administration. That's when I started looking at what are the things that I have to keep on my plate. I decided to take a gap year and work and gather some work experience before I go ahead for my master's. So I started working with a political consultancy called Fourth Lion and Samagra in Delhi, and I was working on consulting the Himachal Pradesh and Haryana government on various projects. Then after that, I moved on to working in Kalinganagar in Odisha to understand the life and plight of the tribals in our rural sector of the country. That gave me a very interesting insight into the development space. And while I was doing all this parallelly, I was working on my application process, which has finally ended after I got my admits from these universities. And now I'm finally headed to go for my master's to Princeton in less than 20 days.
So now, like I said, the primary question here, like I can see from a lot of people, is that while you've got admits from Harvard, you've got admits from Princeton, you've got Columbia, you've got Oxford, you've got London School of Economics. Now, those are brilliant admits, and you've chosen Princeton in particular. May I know the reason behind this decision making?
Yes. Princeton was a very cognizant choice while I was doing my shortlisting of the universities. That time itself, Princeton was on the top of my list for various reasons. One being that the faculty that it has for this particular course is very solid. All the professors come from on-ground experience, and they're also practicing professors. They're already working even today in the policy field. So that gives me a lot of scope to network and understand on-ground realities while I'm studying. The second was the cohort size. The cohort size at Princeton was much smaller and compact compared to the other universities. It was only 50 to 55 as compared to Columbia and Harvard, which had over 120, 150 students in one cohort. And the third was the option of electives. Princeton offered the students the option of choosing from a lot many electives rather than focusing only on core courses. So when I'm there, I'm able to focus on the areas that I want to specialize in and I'm interested in, as opposed to ones that are compulsory to all students. So these three things really influenced my decision to choose Princeton over any other university.
Okay, so the faculty profile, the kind of experience you're getting is much more available in Princeton rather than Harvard. That's one of your reasons for this choice. A pretty good way very calculated way to understand that. So I have a question from Rohit Singh. I think it's one question that most of you might have at this point of time. The gap that you took of 1 year, why did you choose to take this year gap? Was that really helpful for you?
Yeah. The thing was, the most important reason was that it was a requirement for the course. In the application page, in the guidelines that were provided by the college, they had written that 2 to 3 years of work experience is preferred. And I gathered from that even though they are not saying that it's compulsory, definitely my chances of getting the admission would increase if I had work experience. And therefore, I chose to work for a year or two before I applied. And secondly, in a course like this, having done my undergrad in economics, it was very important for me to get the flavor of what public policy as a working field feels like. And it was very important for me to get into the field and understand its day-to-day workings and requirements. And now that I make use of the course a lot better, having worked in this sector.
All right. So having worked in sector, okay, I think that pretty much explains a lot of very important factors here. So the next question, Somya, like I expected, a lot of people want to ask me is your GRE. I mean, you've scored a magnificent 333 in GRE. Now that's not something you take it easy. So how did you feel about scoring 333? Can you give us your quant and verbal breakdown?
Yeah. So I scored a 165 in quant, a 168 in verbal, and a 4.5 in my AWA, which was a huge surprise and a pleasant gift for me, because I hadn't done well the first time that I had taken my GRE. So yes, you're right. It was a great feeling.
All right, so 333, 165 in con, 168 in verbal. I think I asked you the question last time itself. I'm pretty sure the answer is different this time. Do you regret not scoring that 170?
I do. In fact, it gives you it sort of triggers the competitor in you, because you're like, agar ek bar mein you have gotten this much of a boost, then let's try it one more time and get a perfect score.
All right, fair enough. So actually, and based on this, can you tell me the admits you've got as of now? The admits you've got as of now.
Right. So I had applied to these universities, and most luckily I got through them. It included Harvard, Princeton, Columbia, Oxford, London School of Economics, and then I told you my final choice was Princeton.
Princeton. All right, wonderful. So I think we have got a lot of attendees here having raised a lot of questions. Let me just have a quick interaction with them. So Irfana, Arvind, Surya, Nitin, Aditya, I can see all your questions coming in. I'll try to address as many questions as possible in the Q&A session. Currently, we will talk about her courses, how she prepared for GRE. And in case, if you're joining our seminar for the very first time, a quick announcement that your mics have been muted by default by the GoToWebinar portal. If you want to interact with us, feel free to use the chat box in the right of your screen. If you are connected through your mobile phone, there's a question mark button on the top tab. If you click on that, you will be able to access the chat box too. So, Somya, quite as expected, the next question a lot of people want to ask me here is, what is the course that Somya is going for masters, and what was the reason behind choosing this particular course?
Right. So this particular choice of my course is based on my experience and based on my inclinations in this sector. So while I was in my undergrad, I was running a school for construction workers for children of construction workers in Bangalore. And also I was volunteering with an NGO called Make a Difference. And my experience with them and with these children really triggered my inclination to serve the nation and to serve the backward sections and the needy sections of our nation. And that's when I decided to pursue my passion in this area. And going forward, I did a research in Singur, West Bengal. It's a village in West Bengal, on the entire issue of Nandigram and the Tata Nano factory coming there and being driven away because of political and various other reasons. So all of these culminated together, and I decided that I cannot sit there and complain about the challenges that we face as a citizen in our country on a daily basis. I want to get out there and do something about it, and that's where my decision to pursue a master's in public policy came.
Wonderful, wonderful. Very, very clear thought process in your decision making. Now, I think a lot of people are very curious on one particular factor, Somya, before we move on to the GRE preparation. You 333 in GRE, and what about scholarships? Have you got any scholarships at this point of time from any of these universities?
Yes, I have received a full scholarship from Princeton, and I also received a partial scholarship from LSE and Columbia, but then I settled for Princeton at the end.
All right, so you've got a full scholarship from Princeton. I think that can be something we can discuss coming back to the seminar.
So 333 in GRE, Somya, I think pretty sure in that process you would have faced a lot of challenges in particular for your GRE preparation. It's not very easy. And especially you have said that after 312, you had to retake your GRE to boost it by, certain score. I think it's about 21 point score boost in 45 days. So what were the primary challenges that you faced in your GRE preparation, and how did you make this score boost possible?
Right. So you're absolutely right. There were challenges, and in the first time, I was really not happy with the score because the colleges clearly said that they are looking at a 90 percentile score from an applicant. And the biggest thing that I had to fight in my preparation was stress. As a person, I generally tend to get stressed out when I'm taking any exam or any test. And for me to overcome that while taking GRE was the biggest challenge. Because here, the irony is that the syllabus is very easy. We have studied all these chapters and these topics in school, but it's just that you have to take it in such a timed manner, and there is so much at stake with this one test in the 3 hours that you're taking it, that you tend to get even more anxious. So for me to put myself into stress situations and test-like situations even while practicing was very crucial in overcoming this stress. Number one. The second was to take it one question at a time. One mistake that I was making because of my stress issue was that while I was on question A, I kept thinking about what level of difficulty this question has. I would keep thinking that am I doing it right? If this is level A of difficulty, will the next question be even tougher? If I could do the question easily, I would think that, oh my God, have I made a mistake in the last question that an easier question has appeared in this test? So these questions kept cropping in my mind, and I was never in the moment in solving the question, because these background noises keep annoying you and keep taking away your attention when you're solving the questions. And the third was taking it one question at a time was a big learning, so that when you're solving a question, just be at it fully, take it, and after you solve it, do not think about it. When you're at the next question, do not think that, was the previous question solved correctly? Did I do anything wrong? Did I do it right? Just take that away from your mind. And the third thing, and the most important challenge, was me living a double life constantly. So I was working while I was preparing for my GRE, and it was really challenging to work 10 to 11 hours a day and come back home, and you don't have time to rest, but you have to get back to your preparation. It gets really jaded and boring. So to push yourself to prepare in the morning before you leave, and again prepare once you come back from work, was something that I had to really struggle with. But once I did that, it really proved to be fruitful.
Wonderful. Living a double life, yeah, definitely is quite difficult. As a working professional, you've done this particular aspect. So one question, a follow-up question on this basis I want to ask you is, the first time around, like you mentioned, you scored a 312, and the second time you scored a 333. What was the one or few important factors that helped you with this score boost?
Yeah. So the most important thing that helped me this time, the second time that I did it, was the perfectly crafted study plan. So this is when I had signed up for the GRE Ed services, and I had signed up for the program called Focus GRE, which gave me a 45-day time frame to get a perfect score. And this was very, very helpful. So what it did, it ironed out all the difficulties and all the problems that I was facing earlier. I could perfectly now see what I have to prepare on a daily basis. So what this program of Focus GRE does for you is, after you sign up, the mentor or the SFA that they call is the person that is assigned to you creates a study plan based on your weaknesses and your strengths. So I personally was very weak in areas of speed, time, distance, and coordinate geometry, for instance. So the study plan put these topics for me in the beginning. And secondly, even in terms of the verbal section, it put areas that require more practice, including learning word lists and practicing different techniques of solving the verbal passages. It puts all the things that you need to work on in the first few weeks so that you master that. and in the next few weeks you can focus on full length tests. So you don't have to every day wake up and think about what am I going to solve or what do I have to study. The study plan has a perfect 45-day schedule, and you just have to follow that to master your preparation. The second thing that comes from the study plan was to identify the areas that you have to improve on. So these areas were identified for me by GREedge using their diagnostic test. So when I had enrolled for the service, I had to take a diagnostic test, which was like a full-length GRE test. And the mentors at GRE very nicely, understood what are the areas that I'm finding difficulty in. Very interestingly, my weak sections of the chapters in quant as well as verbal were correctly pointed out by the mentors. And they incorporated these weak areas and me being able to strengthen them in my study plan. And I think these two things were very crucial. The third very important thing that was the learning tracker. So along with the study plan, one very interesting feature in the portal is that it keeps telling you after every problem and every sum that you solve, whether you will be or how close are you to your target score. So as soon as I had signed up for this service, I had to enter what my target score is. And like I shared with you all, I had written 170 is my target score in quant and 165 is my target score for verbal. And every time I solved a sum or an entire section, how close I am to the target score kept being visible. So one day was very shocking to me because my learning tracker said that I'm only going to score a 140 in my verbal and close to a 160 in my quant. And that's when I really pulled up my socks. I realized that I have to work much, much harder and focus much more on my weaker areas if I have to achieve my target score. So this daily based mentoring and this daily based, shockers and the correct data that they show to you makes it makes it easy for you to stay motivated. The next very important thing was the GMCs that really changed the game for me. So the GMCs are something called the Grey Matter Councils. This is a fancy name for a much easier thing, that is that it's a daily report card on your per question performance. So what it does, it culls out where exactly you're going wrong. So to give you an example, my GMC once told me that I am spending more time on very lengthy looking questions. So if a question is for like 4 to 5 lines, which is generally in case of percentage questions or in case of speed time distance questions, I am getting them wrong. I'm spending a lot of time on them, yet I'm getting them wrong. So the important thing for me, from that I learned that I have to learn how to break these questions, keep my attention span on it and solve them correctly. So the GMC is very clearly point out what your weaknesses are. Even in addition to your chapters, they even tell you how to solve a particular question. And just one last thing that might sound a little funny for most people, but this was a personal problem of focus and controlling my stress. So I would practice meditation for this. In the sense, like just before starting taking the exam. So I would practice every time I sat to study, I would study for 3 hours straight. And I would start with doing pranayam. And that would really calm me down. I would get very agitated just at the thought of, taking the test and taking the GRE questions. So just like sitting down for 5 minutes, breathing and doing meditation really, really helped. I don't know how helpful it might be to everybody, but it definitely worked for me.
Thank you so much, Somya, for that. I think that was a very, very well-crafted, well-arranged set of tips for students. I'm pretty sure most of you in the audience found it helpful. What do you say, Aditi, Anushri, Satyajit, Sanjeevi? I'm pretty sure a lot of people have a lot of questions as well in the meantime. So one question I see is in terms of people want to understand how much time you spend. To make it more specific, I have a question here. We are working alone. So while working alone, side by side, and taking GREedge coaching for your GRE, how much time were you able to devote for yourself in terms of GRE preparations alone?
Right. So on an average, I would spend 4 to 5 hours a day That was to give you a small glimpse into it. I'm a more morning person. So I would study from 5 to 8 in the morning, where I would continuously solve sums and all the questions that were shown to me in my learning tracker, which also told me what questions I have to solve, which passages. So that took a lot of time away. I didn't have to think about which book to take and which questions to solve. So I would do that for 3 hours in the morning. And after I came back from work at night, my SFA, that was the mentor assigned to me, they had gone through my working and the sums that I had solved. And they, in my GMCs, I would analyze what mistakes I've made. So in the evenings for 1.5 to 2 hours, I would analyze and work on solving my mistakes. So that was my schedule. So I would sit from 5 to 8 in the morning and around 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. in the night.
All right, wonderful. Now I have a question from Parth Somya. He wants to know approximately how many full-length tests you take before your GRE, as in the full-length adaptive test, and your ETS mock test. You take it, and if you did, what are the scores? Do you happen to remember them?
Yes, I roughly do remember them. The first, I had taken, I took a lot of mock tests. I had there are a lot of free mock tests available online from Barron's, Princeton Review. There are multiple free mock tests, so I taken them. On a total level, I think I remember taking 10 to 12 full-length tests, which included 4 full-length tests by GREedge and also the 2 ETS official tests. Out of them, in 4 tests, I clearly remember I had scored a full 170 in my quant, and this was towards the end. So that's when I got confident that yes, maybe I will do well in my GRE this time.
I hope that answers a lot of questions. Yeah. Now, Somya, I think that talks a lot about GRE preparation.
To add one more thing here, that even if you might find very few, and this was a challenge that I faced because I had taken GRE twice. So the first time I'd already exhausted a lot of tests that were available. So the second time, what I started doing, and this was an advice given by a GREedge mentor, that you just take a lot of questions and solve them in a way that comes in a real mock test. So like you have to solve 30 quant questions and 20 verbal questions. Create your own mock test while you are revising and while you are solving questions. So whenever you are sitting to practice 30 quant questions, then practice 20 verbal questions, then practice 30 quant questions for 3 hours. So that way you're creating your own exam.
Fair enough. I think that gives a very realistic feeling of the GRE itself, even before you go there. Now, before we move on to the admission process, we talk about university shortlisting. We talk about, SOP writing and all that. I have a question, one last regarding GRE in particular, the AWA section, Somya. I think that's something a lot of people don't pay attention to because they don't know the weightage that it carries. So how did you go about preparing for AWA?
Okay, so I used a very, I used a different technique for AWA. What I realized is that all the GRE topics, all the AWA topics are pretty general in nature. So I didn't sit and write many essays as such, but I did write each essay from different types. For example, one touching on an education sector, one touching on a technology sector, like that. And what I did before my GRE exam, I just made note of 4 to 5 examples under each sector. For example, ecology, economics, policy, engineering, art, culture, biology. Under each of them, I noted 4 names and 4 well-known examples that I can cite no matter what topic comes up. So if I learn, for example, a quote by Gandhiji, or if I learn if I have understood a breakthrough invention that has taken place on a local or a global level, it's easier for me to cite these because in a lot of tips online, it said that, and even in examples given by the official ETS guide as well, it said that the more specific you are in your AWA, the better you score. So I did that. In every paragraph that I substantiated in supporting or rejecting the motion given in the question. I always cited it with definite examples, and I used connecting words like, and that is a very important tip given to me by GREedge, that use connecting words like moreover, however, therefore. These keywords are the ones that get you better scores. So when you're practicing your AWA, remember, one, to give specific examples, and second, to use connecting words.
All right, I think that pretty much clearly explains how AWA is got. So the next big struggle when it comes to the GRE is, of course, the GRE word learning, and in terms of acquiring the right study materials. So for these two aspects, Somya, first of all, can you tell us how many words did you master and how did you go about it? And also, did you what are the study materials that you used in particular?
Okay. For learning words, I had used the Magoosh word learning app, and it is an app easily found on Play Store and even iStore. So it's very helpful if you can download that. The second thing that really helped me was the WordBot. Now this was a GRE service, the WordBot, that helps you learn words in very interesting ways. So as soon as it gives you a new word, it gives you that word with a picture, with the sound of a word that it resembles with, and even a sentence in which that word is used. So when you're using and when you're seeing this word being shown to you in all the three ways, it becomes easier for you to remember it. And the third thing that I did, I had put sticky notes in, and I'd shared this in the earlier webinar, that I wrote all the difficult words that I would come across and I was not able to learn on sticky notes, and I stuck it in areas that I see regularly. So for example, while brushing my teeth, or when I get up, or beside my mirror, or on my study table where I spend more time, so that just seeing that word and regularly registering it would make me or help me learn it faster. And word learning I would always do on my way to work and on my way back from work, which would take roughly 30 minutes. I would use that travel time in word learning.
All right. So your travel time with the WordBot app was something very much used. So I think that's a lot of information about GRE, very, very useful for us. I'm pretty sure most of you have got understanding of how to go about GRE preparations. Now, Somya, the next important factor before I jump onto the admission process, this is a question that has been plagued us ever since last December, and I'm pretty sure most of you have picked up what this question is going to be: the Trump effect. Now, Donald Trump has been elected as president, and a lot of people have so many questions. We've also from GREedge had a lot of webinars regarding this, clarifying what the overall issue is about. But hearing it from a student who is actually going for a master's program might be something our students will want to hear as well. So can you tell us what is your take or your opinion on this particular Trump effect?
Right. So personally, I definitely did, sort of sow a seed of fear in me once this happened, and all sorts of things that the president of the states had made. But even despite that, it did not affect my decision at all to go there for masters. And that primarily came because I knew that once I go there, I have to work really hard to make whatever I have to of myself, even if it requires me to be the best in class there, to grab the best job opportunity in the US, or to come back in India if required and get the best job opportunity here. But on a positive note, what went on to happen that our country also has now started taking very positive steps towards maintaining good and better diplomatic relations with the United States. And the president itself today has acclaimed that Indians at least will not face as much issue and will not face that much issue with regard to job opportunities there. And this today I can say it with even more confidence to all you people who are aspiring to go to the US for masters. You don't have to worry about it, because this is something that somebody told me at the embassy when I went for my visa interview. That they are not sitting there to reject your visa. They're actually sitting there to give you the visa to go and make something out of yourself, study better in the United States. The only glitch that they have, they want you to prove that you will be able to pay for your studies well. They don't want you to be in the middle of your course and say that, now I will not be able to pay for my education. I do not have any source of funding. These are the things, or you being heavily dependent on the US economy to pay back your loan. They will be worried if you take a full, 50-60 lakh loan from India, and then you go to the US, because then it rings a bell in their mind that you are going there only to earn and only to take away from their economy. As long as you are clear about what your funding source is from, and where you want to work after your masters, I think you're good to go.
I think that pretty much clearly explains what our students are expecting. So, are you guys? So far we got about 800 attendees here. It's a record number. So, are you all absolutely clear so far on what is being discussed? The Trump effect, the GRE preparation, the GREH plan, and how SFAs and SGMCs work. Are you all absolutely clear? This has been enlightening. Thank you, Somya, says Akash. And we're not even half done, Akash. Believe me, Somya has a lot more information to share about admission counseling, which is what we're going to jump to right now. So, the next question I have for you, Somya, whenever I talk to any of my students, the primary challenge that they face when it comes to admission is, of course, the university shortlisting. Now, to be honest with you, I wouldn't say your job was easier, but you've been shortlisting universities like Princeton, Harvard. It's quite popular among students as well. So, can you tell us what was your thought process in deciding this university shortlist? How did you go about this process? And can you tell me the final university shortlist you had?
Yeah. My university shortlisting was based, even before I started shortlisting the universities, I knew that I had to go to the best university that I could get this course in. And if I didn't get through the best, I wouldn't go. And I remember sharing this with Vishnu when I had started my GRE preparation. I was very, very clear on that. And my university shortlisting was based on definitely what the online ranking said for Masters in Public Policy and Administration. And it was also greatly informed by my friends who were at each of these universities, or friends of friends who were studying there. So I used networks a lot to get in touch with people already in these universities, to understand what the course structure was like, what the professors were like, what the cohort was like, and what their life was like after having finished these courses. And the third thing was me going through each of these courses and these universities online. So I had done a thorough research on what the faculty is in each of these universities. I knew I wanted a faculty which was very hands-on, a faculty who had worked on ground and then was going to teach it at university level. So I had done a lot of, and what are the and where are the faculties in which I want, in areas that I want to specialize in. So I want to specialize in areas of technology and governance, where in this, and this is the exact area in which Princeton, Harvard, and Columbia specialize in. There are professors actively working in these areas. So the faculty, the cohort, and the information about the course structure, electives, and core courses online helped me shortlist my university.
Right. So I think that pretty much answers very, very clearly about university shortlisting, Somya. So the next question is, one thing you talked about is the university, that networking. I mean, in terms of engineering students who are aspiring for computer science, aspiring for mechanical, electrical, can you tell me how can they find out this networking opportunity?
Right. One of the easiest ways is to go to the university website itself. I would really, and I would urge all of you all to do this, because I'm so glad that you all have joined, and GRE just facilitated this seminar in this month at the end of July, because this is the right time to start preparing for your university applications. So whatever universities you have in mind, please go to go inside their website completely, in detail look at their course structures, and in detail look at their faculties and alums. The alum column is often and the alum section is what we often miss out. But that has a wealth of information, because from that you will be able to understand two very important things. One, that what is the sort of profile that you should have if you want to apply to that university. And second, what are the people doing after you enter. So for engineering students also, I'm sure today when you are applying, you might have a plan where you see yourself 3 or 4 years down the line. So if you want to see yourself working in Google or at LinkedIn, or you see yourself working on creating a big breakthrough technology in artificial intelligence or biotechnology, then from the alum section, you'll be able to understand how many people have actually done that. Where have the graduates gone? What are the graduates doing? And it's very, very easy to find these names of the graduates and find them on LinkedIn or Facebook. Send them a personal message. I would urge all of you all to do this because these graduates are very responsive. Out of 20 emails that I must have written or 20 personal messages that I sent on Facebook and LinkedIn, I got replies to at least 13 or 14 of them. And they give you exact pointers on how you should make most of your time at the university, how you should prepare your application better. And they will be able to guide you whether this university is the right thing or the right choice for you for what you want to do later.
All right, so I think that pretty much explains a lot in terms of engineering context as well. So guys, most of you, I'm sure most of you have got that information. Now, one question I before to move on is your tips on SOP. I'm sure your SOP was something magnificent and pretty sure because the GRE score, university shortlisting, I'm pretty sure this is not something you're compromised on. So what were your primary tips for SOP? And add on to that, I have a question asking your TOEFL score as well.
Okay. So I'll first take the first question on the SOP. The SOP is a work plan in itself. It's like a project that you have to run for yourself, and this is the most important part after the GRE in your application. It's equal to your GRE score. My first tip is start very, very early. In fact, I would like to share some links with you all, and I would urge you all to sign up for the university blogs, all the university blogs that you're applying to. So while I was applying to Columbia, Harvard, all of them have their own application blogs in which they give tips on what exactly are they looking for in a good SOP, in a well-rounded SOP. And there are also general blogs like what I've shared, The Art of Applying. They have researched on almost all Ivy Leagues and all leading universities, and they have listed down what is it that you must be most careful about in your essays. So take the next 1 or 2 weeks and go through these blogs and list down what is exactly important. So I'll share some example with you. So Harvard's application blog said that whenever you write your SOP, get your point of what you want to do after your master's in the first paragraph, because the application committee, the assessment team, does not want to does not want to wait till the end to know why exactly you want to do this master's course. They want to get across to the right point at the first paragraph itself. So I made my point very clear of what exactly I want to do after my master's in my first paragraph. Second, and they also give clear pointers on later what are the things that you should be doing. They've written whether you should be sharing your story in a significant manner or in a format of a story or in any other format. So every college has given definite pointers on what exactly they're looking for in the right SOP. So research on their blogs is the first important point. Second is get a draft ready by, let's say, the end of August. That will be very helpful. If you have your broad structure and sample SOP ready, please send them to your friends. Send them to your friends who are in these colleges, or if they have any contacts with people in these colleges, or in the way I told you, just write to people over LinkedIn, Facebook, or email to just vet out your essay, to give you very, very critical reviews on your SOP. Ask them to tell you whether what they are understanding about you as a person is what you want the application committee to read. And this is the most helpful. Like, I cannot thank the people who've reviewed my essay enough for the time that they took out and did it. I remember the first draft that I wrote, I had sent that in the end of August, and the Word document that came back by the reviewers was fully read. It was full of remarks. In fact, some people also asked me to control all and delete my entire essay and rewrite it. And the final essay that I sent to these universities was my 20th draft, I think. So it takes a lot of reviews and a lot of hard work. You have to be very, very critical of your own writing, every word that you use before you get your SOP right. So devote at least 1.5 to 2 months to get your right SOP.
Yes, Getting SOP proper feedback, I think, is a very, very important aspect. And I think the celebrity has told herself, Harvard admit when she says it, I'm pretty sure it is true. And I think, like you said, the 20th draft will be the right copy. You have to get reviewed from account, who it is. But to ensure the review should be proper. Now, moving on to the next part, Somya, the next part when it comes to SOP university shortlisting is done. The visa interview. Now, visa interview is somewhere a lot of people get very anxious or very surprised because they don't know what kind of questions are to be expected from a visa interview. So, how was the visa? Are you done with the visa interview? What was that like?
Very fortunately, my visa interview was fairly simple. Since I had funding, they did not have any questions for me. As soon as I'd gone with a huge bunch of documents, all my financial proof, all my application documents, admission proof, everything. And the visa interviewer just asked me why I want to do my master's in the US, what my plans are after coming back. And then she congratulated me for my admission with full funding, and I got the visa in 2 days. But from the experience of others and my friends also who have applied and gone and are going this year, I would like you to be very, very sure of two answers. One, where is your funding coming from? If your funding is coming from your family, be very confident of saying that your family is supporting you and they have the resources to support you and fund you. And based on that, either you are getting the funding from them or you have applied for a loan, and you will be able to pay the loan based on whatever plan you have. The second is convince them that and just have a plan ready that you want to come back to India. Plans definitely change, and they are not going to note it down and hold it against you after you finish your course, but it will give them confidence and will increase your chances of getting your visa. Because the only two reasons why your visa gets rejected is if they feel that you're going only to work in the US. It's not like they don't want you to work in the US, but they don't want you to go with that plan initially. Ki, I'm going only so that I can earn in dollars. And the second thing is that, like I've mentioned before, they want you to be sure about your source of funding. ये नहीं होना चाहिए कि mid your course, after 1 year only, you are saying that you have to come back to India because you don't have the resources. And trust me, this happens a lot. And that is why the visas get rejected if you don't have adequate funding.
Clearly put, Somya. I think that makes a lot of sense. Now, the next question, again, a couple of questions have come in. I think the TOEFL question, your TOEFL score was something that students wanted to know. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had gotten, there are 4 sections. I'd gotten 28 in all 4. Reading, listening, writing, speaking. Yeah, 28 in all 4.
Okay. So the next question is the scholarship that we discussed in the very beginning. Your tips for scholarship aspirants in particular, if you say fall 18, for example, what do you think are the primary things that they need to do at this point of time?
Right. The scholarship, I would say that the timelines to start working on your scholarships would start sometime in October, because right now is the time to get your SOP right. Around October, I would urge all of you all to do adequate research. Again, because for every course, the scholarships that are available to you are different. There are certain scholarships that are given by the university and the country that you're applying to itself. There are other scholarships also that are provided by India. For example, there is a KC Mahindra scholarship, there is an INLAC scholarship, there is Aga Khan Foundation scholarship. And all of these scholarships have different deadlines, different requirements. And all these deadlines start in December. So if you start around October with your correct research, then it will be very, very helpful for you, because then you're unlikely to miss any deadlines. I unfortunately missed the Aga Khan Foundation deadline because I did not, look. I had, when I was doing my research, I had completely missed that out. And the second thing, like I've mentioned, note the deadlines very, very carefully. Keep which scholarship requires what documents and when the deadline is. And the third thing is your scholarship essay. So if, like I said, if you've started your SOP essays around August and you have a framework ready, then writing your scholarship essay will become very, very easy, and your work will become almost one-shot. Because you will have a sorted framework. You just have to change a couple of details here and there to answer the question that the scholarship essay asks you to. However, one additional thing that I want to mention, that in your scholarship essay, make sure that you have 3 things very clearly mentioned. One, that why do you need the scholarship more than anybody else? I'm not asking you to make yourself sound like somebody very needy in terms of money, but you need to prove your merit. You have to say that why at this point of time it's best that the country or the university invests in you, and how you are going to repay the university in terms of your personal credibility or in terms of your research value or where you are going to be later. Because whoever's giving you money, for example, in my case, when I'm getting full funding from Princeton wants to be very sure that they're investing on the right person. And the right way to convince them of this is to tell them that you have a sorted plan after you have done your master's, and you have a sorted reason on why you are meritorious. So don't feel shy in writing that you have been the top performer in your class, or you have been engaged in many social activities, in volunteering activities during your professional life, during your college days. So be very clear about your merits as a person, your need for the scholarship, and proving to them that you are the right person and you will be able to repay them back in terms of credibility and your work after your master's.
All right, so I think that gives a very clear understanding of the fall 18 aspirant, what is the step-by-step guide on what a student should do. I think coming from the person who's got that bit, I'm sure that is very credible. Now, moving on to the next part, I think we have so many questions for you, Somya. I'm going to ask each one of those questions right now. But before I want to understand, how was your overall experience with GREedge? I mean, can you share your suggestions, your experience with us?
So my experience has been extremely amazing, and I don't say that just because GREedge is hosting this seminar, but I say that because I genuinely felt a lot more supported and a lot more comfortable while preparing for my GRE the second time. And honestly, the service at GREedge answered all the gaps and all my weaker areas that I was facing in the first time that I was preparing for my exam. I did not have to spend time thinking about what to solve, how to solve, whether I'm doing the right thing or not in the first time. So I'd like to share with you all that GREedge has this very interesting technology called microsecond recording tool. What it does, that every cursor that you're moving on the screen to solve your question is getting recorded, and your SFAs, that is your mentors at GREedge, actually review your entire solving process. So they know exactly why you went wrong in a certain question, how much time you spent in solving a certain question, what type of questions you got right, what you got wrong, what topics you got right, what topics you got wrong. And based on all of this, if we sit to analyze how to solve and what to solve, how to prepare, it will take us double the time. In fact, even more, because you have to sit and then think, what do I have to do next? But with my experience with GREedge, I just had to open my portal first thing in the morning, and my entire study plan was there. It clearly said that these are the things that I have to solve. I would do that for 3 hours. And after I came back, all my weaker areas, my analysis was right there. I would read it, I would understand it, work on what was suggested by my mentor. And the next day I would repeat this exercise. And I did it diligently. I did it very, very dedicatedly, disciplined for 45 days. And I think that's all you need to get a kick-ass score.
All right. Thank you so much, Somya. Having helped you get this Harvard, Princeton admit is kind of a dream for us as well. At the end of the day, with over 35,000 success stories, I think we just want to write more stories like you, and that's our vision as well. So we will move on to the Q&A session with you very soon. Just a couple of quick announcement session with the audience. So guys in the audience, so far, have you found this seminar to be informative, helpful? I'm pretty sure a lot of you might be very concerned that my question are not being answered, my question are being answered. But keep in mind, we have about 700 attendees, which means that every question might be unique in nature and it's very difficult to answer. But don't worry, this is your round. It's going to be your round. We're going to take a lot of questions with each one of you. But before that, how many of you guys would like to help GREedge make more and more, get more and more people like Somya Bajaj as students here? How many guys are here like that? Because we know it's one in a million, but at the end of the day, helping each one of you reach your success is our dream as well at the end of the day. So guys, how many guys are very determined here? So me says Ashwini, Arijit, Mayank, extremely helpful. Thankful to her for preparation. Definitely Apachita. So for the people who are interested in getting help from GRE for your GRE preparations, so I think we have come to 8:30, and that's our time being constrained right now. So Somya, first of all, thank you so much for your wonderful time. I think for the past 1.5 years, you've been, for the 1.5 hours, you've given us content that, probably we would have found out 1.5 hours, 1.5 years of research, and a very, very thought through process, very clear, very coherent in what you want to communicate. I have a lot of people requesting you to share your SOP, share your LOR, and I told them it's not going to be that easy because everyone has to write their own SOP at the end of the day, right? So, and I also got a lot of congratulations message. Thank you so much and wishing you all the best. So from GREedge side, having helped you get this dream admit, dream college, I wish a huge congratulations and all the best ahead of the application and with the visa and your journey towards masters. And I really hope that when you come back to India, we'll be having a much better public policy for all, like we'll be happy to have a much better India. I wish you all the best from here on, Samya.
Thank you so much. That's the dream. I hope I was helpful. And yeah, thanks a lot. It was lovely talking to all of you all.
All right, a lot of thank you coming in. Any final message for the students here, Samya?
Please do not lose hope. The process can get very boring and very stressful. But trust me, it's all worth it at the end. Just have your heart and mind in the right place and pursue it with complete dedication and discipline.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, Somya, for that. And I'm very sure we'll be getting back to you. Wish you all the best from here on.
Thank you.
All right. So guys in the audience, I hope you guys enjoyed this seminar. It's been a huge pleasure having so many students eagerly waiting, patiently getting your questions answered. I hope you guys found absolute value. From here on out, it's going to be very simple. Just get started with your GRE preparation. Just like Somya said, don't lose your hope. And if you're still looking for any assistance and you're looking very serious, if you're very clear that, yes, I want to start my journey today and I want to be very clear with this journey forward, we will definitely ensure that we will share a recording of this seminar probably today or tomorrow in our Facebook page. In the meantime, keep in mind that our promo code based on Somya's huge score here is available up for grabs, 50% offer on the Express GRE program. I have shared that link with you. If you still need the link, just feel free to type in the chat box and send it to me. I'll share it with each one of you, and the promo code will be shared for the people who have that promo code in the chat box. Until we see you in the upcoming seminars, this is Vishnu signing off, and Somya, a very good evening and take care, guys.
Thank you. Bye.